The Hive Story Animation. This is the Hive Story animated version by CRRDLX. To look at Hive, we have to start at the beginning and understand, cryptocurrency is still very new. Let's go back, real quick. In the very beginning was Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto, of course. Then, a few other blockchains spun off from Bitcoin, Dogecoin for instance. Then, smart contract chains started popping up, like Ethereum in 2013. And, we go from there. But, this is the Hive story. So, to start at the beginning of the Hive story, we start with BitShares. Dan Larimer made BitShares and launched it in the summer of 2014, really early in crypto. It was clunky looking and not so user-friendly, at least by today's standards. But, it was great in that it worked. And, a couple of things were pretty revolutionary. First, you could send funds to a username, something you could read and remember, not a long string of letters and numbers like Bitcoin or Doge or Ethereum. And, secondly, Dan moved away from proof of work, like Bitcoin, or proof of stake, POS, like Ethereum, and he came up with delegated proof of stake, DPoS, and that's what Hive uses today. And then, Dan moved on to a new blockchain project called Steemit. We'll get right back to this in a moment. But, after he was done with Steemit, Dan Larimer later moved on again to Makeos. Dan's very makey. He's makey, not so much stick aroundy. But, let's just be thankful for and respect the making. Innovators gonna innovate. Anyway, EOS isn't really part of the Hive story. So, let's jump right back to Steemit. Steemit was new and it was great. It was to be social media mixed in with cryptocurrency. Doing your social media meant earning crypto. Instead of the social media platform earning from your efforts, you would earn. That's a really good concept. Online, Steemit.com was the place to be. At first, it was the wild west. There were crazy rewards. Then, it kind of cooled off. It was a great platform with lots of daily users, maybe more than any other chain, thanks largely to the Steam Monsters NFT game. And yet, with the crypto space having boomed into the huge megaspace that it is today, Steemit kind of grew into just being there. Doing what it was doing. Hanging out. Just one of many chains. And then, around late 2019 and early 2020, just as COVID-19 was dropping, a fellow named Justin Sun came into the picture. And this is where the story gets interesting. This is where it gets crazy. And this is what has come to define Hive as what it is. A huge battle went down. This is an epic story in the cryptocurrency space. It will become legendary. Okay, before jumping into what Justin did, it's necessary to back up just a bit to the start of Steemit. Understand, the main source for this narrative is an article on decrypt.co, it's amazing and I can't improve on it, so take a look for yourself at decrypt.co web link. I'm only trying to shorten things up here, and animate it, but here it is. Go back to 2016. The devs who were building Steemit were planning a launch real soon, then they suddenly noticed that the blockchain was already live. Dan Larimer and the Steemit Incorporated CEO Ned Scott had jumped the gun, they'd launched the mainnet, and they were already mining the Steem coin. They evidently mined 80% of the tokens in what was called the Ninjaman, cool name, but sneaky. So much for a quote fair mine, where the launch date is announced, carried out, and anyone can try to mine on an equal and level playing field. Nevertheless, Steemit started and it grew and it gained users. Post, comment, upvote, get upvotes, earn Steem, earn money. All the legacy platforms rewarded in likes or friends or whatever platform points they gave, and the platform benefited from users' efforts and posts. However, Steemit rewarded, not in digital likes, but in real money straight to the actual users themselves. Back to Justin Sun. Justin started Tron in 2017 or 18ish, a year or two after Steemit. Tron is yet another blockchain and Tron was just kind of there. Justin wanted more users for his chain, because, it was, just kind of there. Steemit had users. Every single day. It had users. So, he decided to buy up enough stake of Steem to take over Steemit. This was just like one company or billionaire buying up shares of stock of a corporation in a hostile takeover, whether you like it or not. the other company or person can simply buy up enough to take over and control. That's why it's called a hostile takeover. Justin starts buying. Dan Laramers had moved on by this time. What happened is that Ned Scott sold his Ninjament shares to Justin's son for $8 million, and Justin was an instant Steemit mega whale. Remember, with POS or with TBOS, those with the stake hold the power. It gets a little touchy here, but with Steemit, the top 20 so-called witnesses make the blocks in the blockchain. That is, they run the chain. Those in the top 20 must get voted in by other users, stakeholders. So, Justin started voting up and getting witnesses that were on his team, Team Justin, so to speak. The community wasn't having any of this. The Steemit community felt this was clearly a way for Justin's son to buy Steemit users and melt them over into the Tron chain. So, some Steemit devs got together and did an upgrade to the blockchain. The thing about blockchains, the good ones, the public ones, is that they are open for everyone to see. The code is there. The devs secretly changed the code so that it now excluded Justin's son and the witnesses on his team. Justin be like,
"Wait, what? I'm shut out? I just paid $8 million. AHHH.
Justin acted civilly and professionally on chain at first, something like,
"Let's get on a conference call and work this out, yes?"
But, he also starts talking to exchanges. The exchanges had lots of steam, which meant lots of voting or witness power. If he got them on Team Justin, he could take back control of the blockchain. It gets real touchy here, but there's a 13-week delay on this business. So, Justin changed the rules on the 13-week rule to get back full power right now. Sneaky sneaky. At this point, the cat was out of the bag, it was outright war. Justin was calling the devs hackers now, and it was unlike Donkey Kong. Now, the Steemit devs who had secretly locked out Justin's son found themselves locked out. Are you following this ping-pong action? The movers and shakers and whales in the Steemit community got together and started to a voting war. The goal was to try to get enough of the 20 witnesses to take back the chain. Justin started getting nervous. He put out a statement saying he'd give back some power, but he listed a handful of conditions. It's a little hard to find now, but thanks to the immutability of blockchain, it's still out there at this link on hiveblocks.com, hiveblocks.com web link. Justin's 11th and last condition has become the classic Justin's son condition.
Do you like Justin's son, or you just want to bleep him?
It wasn't even a condition, it was just an expletive question thrown in for good measure. If the cat still wasn't out of the bag yet, the cat was out now. Justin still had the upper hand at this point. But then, Binance announced it would start powering down its Steem tokens. This meant that, over 13 weeks, Justin's power would slowly diminish. The battle for the 20 witness voters seesawed back and forth. It was a tug of war. Then, Justin got a bunch of steam from Binance and used it to up his power. And it looked like Justin might stay in control after all. And then, the other thing about blockchains, along with them being open and public, is that they can be forked. Again, the devs got together in secret. This time, they didn't do a quote, upgrade to the Steemit chain. This time, they forked the chain entirely to make a whole new blockchain. The new chain was to be called Hive. Not sure who named it, but it was a mirror image of Steemit without a couple of things. The Ninjaman tokens were out. Steemit.com, the company, was out. Justin's son was out. The pro-Justin's son witnesses of Team Justin were out. Everything else was the same. All user posts and comments, cryptocurrencies, and everything was just mirrored over. Everything. It was simply starting over with a clean slate and doing it right this time. Hive went live March 20, 2020. That's March 20, 2020. Or 320s, get it? Anyway. The pro-Justin's son folks were not happy. They argued that they bought or acquired Steem tokens fairly and squarely, and now the rug was being pulled out from underneath them. The Hive folks said, "Hey, this is blockchain. This is open source. Things can be forked. And when a fork is made, the forkers can make their own rules. These are our rules. You can have your Steemit chain. Do as you please. Have fun." Quickly, nearly everyone on the old Steemit chain moved over to the Hive chain. A new blockchain started and it worked great. A new website started and Hive.io became the go-to website. A new logo emerged thanks to Hive user Ed Roland. New front ends emerged. New dApps emerged. Justin Sun and Steemit were locked out by the leaders of Hive. Justin said Hive stole from him. So, now he would lock out Hivers from Steemit. The irony is it was those exact Hivers who'd helped lead the way to make Steemit so lucrative for Justin to get into in the first place. But now, he'd locked them out anyway. The Hivers who were locked out by Justin weren't happy. And this is understandable because they'd just lost a lot of money. All of the fruits of their hard labor had been ripped out from underneath them. Still, what's the saying from Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil? Something like, 2 tears in a bucket. I forget the rest, but I think it was, 2 tears in a bucket. Just forget about it. Although it stung, the leaders, and Hive, moved on. The community just pulled up the tent stakes and moved on. Team Justin was standing in the middle of an empty field, saying,
"What?"
And that's it. This story about the fork of Hive has all the drama in it that you'd want in a Hollywood movie. But, the fork really just all fluff and Hollywood Tinseltown glitz. Here's the real lesson about Hive. Decentralized blockchains are about a lot of things. Things like immutability, transparency, censorship resistance, etc. But, one lesson that Steemit learned the hard way is that people matter. The community matters. The people on the chain fuel the chain. This is especially true for a blockchain like Steemit, a Hive, where social media and tech and finance are intermingled. The community is what makes up that blockchain. In the case of Steemit, the people just voted with their feet and walked away. So, where are we now? Hive is doing just fine. And looking back, the fork just might have been one of the best things to ever happen to the chain. It energized the community. It gave the community focus and purpose. And, Hive just never looked back. Here's what Hive is all about. 1. You owning your account. You can't be deplatformed because somebody doesn't like you. 2. You own your content, not the platform you posted it on. 3. You earning rewards from your account, not the platform you posted it on. 4. You doing what you want, there's no CEO or corporation that tells you what you can or cannot do. A current buzzword is Web3 or Web 3.0. It may be a buzzword, but it's an important word. What's Web 3? Well, Web 1 was simply reading pages on the internet or emails. It was just reading content. Web 2 was interacting with content, like with Wikipedia, or MySpace, or Facebook, or Twitter. Interaction was good, and the next level, but they all were, and still are, all run by centralized something or others, usually a corporation. Web 3 is decentralized. No one person or no one company is in control. It exists on a blockchain, not a company server. And, you are in control. That's the difference with Web 3. The users own and run it themselves. Hive is Web 3. There's lots of talk now about building Web 3. It's often talked about by companies throwing out the buzzword. They say they are building Web 3. But, Web 3 is already here. It's on Hive. Hive is Web 3. Maybe you ask, what's this Hive blockchain all about? What's it mean to me? There's a lot to do on Hive. A lot for you to do.